10 WWE wrestlers who felt uncomfortable in their TV relationship. Let's watch.
Will you marry me?
What? I just need some time, but I love you.
Why he look like he just lost his
on-screen
girlfriend?
romances that made WWE superstars uncomfortable in real life. Number 10, Kane and Kelly. Now in late 2008, WWE began yet another storyline revolving around Kane and a potential romance. This time it included Kelly, and the story focused on Kane firmly believing that Kelly was in love with him. Kane would cause havoc until Kelly confessed her love and even kidnapped her at one stage. The chemistry between the two was completely flat, and the idea behind the storyline was clearly to get Kelly over and to give Kane something substantial to do. Kelly would ultimately reveal that she had feelings for Randy Orton, but this went absolutely nowhere. This was a storyline that WWE dropped within a matter of weeks, and it was never mentioned again.
Wow.
Number 9, Jeff Hardy and Trish Stratus. When delivering an on-screen romance, it's sometimes apparent that one or both wrestlers involved are uncomfortable with what's happening. This was unfortunately the case in 2001 when WWE started an on-screen romance between Jeff Hardy and Trish Stratus. Hardy just looked like he didn't want to be involved in any capacity, and according to WWE executive Bruce Pritchard on his podcast, Hardy was uncomfortable and Vince McMahon just wasn't feeling it. Jeff was uncomfortable with it. Trish was always game, man. She always had ideas and she would listen and she would try pretty much anything. There wasn't a whole lot of chemistry there and Vince looked at it and was like, not feeling it, next, move on. Nobody was going to buy that because there wasn't any chemistry. Vince, didn't feel it. WWE without a doubt made the right call in scrapping the storyline, as wrestlers should never feel uncomfortable delivering an on-air character. Number 8, Ric Flair and Lacey Evans. Vince McMahon had penciled in Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans for WrestleMania 37, and to set this match up, Evans would begin a bizarre on-air relationship with Ric Flair. This was truly atrocious television, as the chemistry was non-existent, and this wasn't what anyone wanted to see at the time. The pairing even made the Nature Boy completely uncomfortable, as according to the man himself during an interview on the MMA Hour, the pairing between he and Evans just wasn't a good fit. In this instance, I didn't feel comfortable. It didn't make a difference. One thing I've learned is that you're not going to win a war when someone has their mind made up. Charlotte most definitely didn't like it. She, Lacey Evans, is a Marine, and we can't give enough back to the people who have served. Vince McMahon, wanted her to be successful, and the way to be successful sometimes is to take two other people who are doing well and give them the rub. She's a nice girl, but it didn't fit. We made the best of it, and ultimately, she's pregnant now with her husband. It was never anything personal. I barely know her. As alluded to in Flair's comments, Evans would end up taking time off due to her pregnancy, and WWE would go in an alternative direction with the WrestleMania match card. Number 7, John Cena and Eve Torres. One of the top storylines on Raw in early 2012 centered around John Cena, Zack Ryder, Kane, and Eve Torres. Kane was trying to make Cena's life a living hell, and Ryder and Torres were often casualties of Kane's rampage. Ryder and Torres were together as a couple on screen at the time, and this fell apart when Torres and Cena kissed in a backstage segment. It looked like this was going to plant the seeds for a Torres and Cena relationship, yet ultimately it just allowed WWE to turn her heel. This was the right move, as whilst Torres was talented, the pairing alongside Cena felt forced, and it lacked any sense of authenticity. Number 6, Buddy Murphy and Aaliyah. The feud between Seth Rollins and the Mysterios escalated to the next level when Rollins' protege Buddy Murphy began a relationship with Rey Mysterio's 19-year-old daughter. This was just weird, and both of the individuals involved evidently had reservations regarding the fictional on-screen romance. According to Murphy, during an interview with Chris Van Vliet, he felt uncomfortable with the kissing aspects, and he simply proceeded because he was just doing his job. I wasn't comfortable kissing Aaliyah. I did that because it was my job and it was going to create more drama in the story. Seth was nervous about it because this whole storyline rides on this one kiss. I'm uncomfortable and she's new. We're out there and about to cut the promo, and I said to her this needs to look good. If you have any second minds, I'm giving you the green light. Do whatever you want, it's 100% you. Do what you need to do, this needs to look good. It looked great, the aftermath wasn't great for me. But we're both adults, we're both acting, we gave each other a high five after it, and that was it. The storyline would eventually be dropped, which was a common trend at the time, as Vince McMahon and WWE were prone to dropping storylines with no logic or explanation. Number 5, Big Show and Joey Giovani. A former world champion Big Show has been involved in so many storylines over the years that it's hard to keep track. One of his more forgotten storylines saw him begin a romance with Joey Giovani. The romance would take center stage during Big Show's main event feud with JBL, and at one stage, Giovani was even kidnapped in an ordeal orchestrated by Kurt Angle. Big Show, as he always did, put 110% into making the storyline work, but Giovani was new to wrestling, so her performances often came across as flat and uninspired. Whilst the feud would be dropped, Giovani has stated in interviews that Big Show was incredible to work with which thankfully implies that the scripted romance wasn't a negative experience for her. Number 4, Bobby Lashley and Lana.
Oh
The
God.
storyline between Bobby Lashley,
Oh
Rusev,
God.
and Lana dominated Raw
Ew,
between
Bobby's face.
2019 to 2020.
Stop
The
looking like
storyline
that.
received negative reviews from fans, and some consider it as a complete burial of Rusev, who often looked completely incompetent as a babyface in the rivalry. Now, this type of storyline wasn't Lashley's strong suit as a performer, and it greatly showed, as he looked out of place and his performances were often awkward and borderline comedic. With that being said, it was hard to blame Lashley's performance, as the content of the storyline and the writing was abysmal. According to Lashley, he felt awkward in the role and he was unable to relax and have fun. I didn't understand the magnitude of it, but the one thing I did know was that I was doing something different. And you can say whatever you want about Lana, but she was 100% committed and invested in that character. I felt awkward doing it. I'm always in fight mode, but it was good to pull me out of that mode. But I needed to relax and just have fun with it. I loosened up because I was trying to entertain people. I understood that, even though I didn't originally like the idea and ended up being cool with it. It's not comfortable for me, but I understood the lesson I was being taught. Following his release from WWE, Rusev claimed that the storyline was going to lead to a WrestleMania main event for him. However, based on the fan reception to the feud, this was highly unlikely. Number 3, Daniel Bryan and Gail Kim. It's well documented just how much of a failure Gail Kim's second WWE run was. WWE struggled to book her in any meaningful way, and her on-screen romance with Daniel Bryan was a sign that her run was going to be a total bust. Whilst Bryan and Kim are both outstanding pro wrestlers, when they were combined for this romance, both looked nervous, and the fans could instantly see through the pairing. Surprisingly, according to Kim during an interview with 411 Wrestling, WWE officials were really happy with how the storyline went. And you know, it was a good experience in terms of having a story and being more of a, not wrestler, but character, I guess, amongst the story. People remember it, I'll say that. That's for sure. So that did prolong my time there, and I think we played that out. And it was basically like, I remember they were really happy with it. They loved the cat fights and all those things, and we had like 2 more cat fights after that backstage and in the ring. And then I got kind of replaced by Eve Torres in that storyline, and I remember just thinking, okay, why did that happen? A year or so later, WWE would try another romance angle with Bryan, as he would go on to date AJ Lee, and this storyline would help push Bryan to the next level in WWE, as the two had actual chemistry. Number 2, Enzo Amore and Nia Jax. WWE had grand plans for the Enzo Amore and Nia Jax relationship, as although every single segment was awkward and lifeless, WWE were going to use the storyline heading into WrestleMania 34. The initial idea was that Jax would discover that Amore and her best friend Alexa Bliss had been sleeping together. This was a storyline straight out of the Attitude Era, and it would have been interesting to see the fan reception to the story. In a surprising plot twist, however, Amore would end up getting released from WWE in early 2018, and the storyline was scrapped indefinitely. Despite Amore's release, they did proceed with a feud between Jax and Bliss, and the two collided for the women's title on the grand stage of WrestleMania. And number 1, Vince McMahon and Sable. One of the most surprising returns of 2003 was the WWE comeback of Sable. Sable left WWE in 1999 on bad terms, and she would even sue the company for sexual harassment. Due to the nature of these allegations, it seemed like a given that fans would never see the former women's champion back in the WWE ring. However, in 2003, Sable agreed to return to the company. In a booking move that made fans extremely uncomfortable, Sable would take on the role of McMahon's personal mistress. This was hard to watch even for 2003 standards, and knowing what we all know about McMahon, WWE won't be in a rush to remind fans of this infamous storyline. Outside of being vastly inappropriate, the chemistry between the two wasn't exactly lighting the WWE product on fire, as the storyline felt forced, and it was almost like McMahon was the only person remotely enjoying what was unfolding. So there you have it, folks. 10 WWE romances.
Dude is a creep. Like, he's creepy as hell, making up these weird ass storylines only he liked at the moment. And then once he's seen like this shit ain't working, then he want to scrap it. Like, bro, like, just stop, please. Poor Bobby, because he just looked so weird. Like, ugh. You could see it just all over his face, and he was trying, and it just was not working. Like, he just looked so weird and awkward. But that's gonna do it for this reaction, you guys. Make sure to leave some likes and comments down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see y'all in the next one.